conceive, believe, achieve. Shut the f*** up.
You're listening to Believe You Me with Michael the Count Bisping.
You know my name yet?
And Anthony Lionheart Smith.
How are you, buddy?
I'm very good, mate. Yeah, I'm good, mate. How are you?
I'm good, buddy. I'm good. Thanks for your time today. We were texting a few weeks ago. And obviously, since we last spoke, you went out there and absolutely destroyed those two guys. Were they brothers?
Yeah, they were brothers, yeah.
Yeah. You beat the shit out of them, mate. Talk to me about that, because that was mental.
I mean, like with any fight, there's always a risk. I think taking the fight on, it doesn't seem it, but it was quite a big deal for me, because fighting two guys at the same time, especially brothers, you know, I'm sure you've got brothers, Michael. I'm sure you have.
Oh, yeah. They used to beat the shit out of me every day.
Yes, but I'm sure you've had some fights on the street with your brothers, and because it's your brother, that heightened adrenaline, that heightened sort of, you know, you're going to risk your life to save your brother, aren't you? So there was a bit more risk there than I think everyone gives credit for. They were 65 kilo guys, but I mean, look, it all went my way, but it could have gone terribly wrong, and I could have got battered by two midgets. So that would have been terrible.
and when you're the world's strongest man, that's not a good look.
No, exactly. So there was definitely a lot to lose taking that fight. That's for sure.
Oh my God, that's hilarious. Yeah, I know what you're saying about the brothers. You know, a long time ago, me and my two brothers, we did have a few fights against some other people. And, you know, we used to joke, the Bisping brothers together, we are undefeatable. So I know what you're saying. There's definitely that, you know, that I don't know what it is, you know, that kinship, that brotherhood kicks in. Let me ask you though, going into that, what was the game plan? Or what did you expect them to do? Because two people on one, you could be very strategic. There's about a million different ways they could have approached that. What did you think they were going to do? And what was your game plan?
I think their tactics were to wear me down, like keep getting me to chase them around the ring, draw me into the middle and attack from both sides at once. And I was quite aware what that, you know, because how else would you approach someone like myself? You're not going to come head on. And then my tactics were to put my back against the cage and just keep both of them in view at all times. And basically, if one got in arm's reach, just absolutely go nuts on one and ignore the other one. Because you can't hit people at the same time, you know. So that was my tactic, really.
That's actually really smart if you put your back up against the fence, because obviously a man your size, that's what they're going to try and do. They're going to try and jump on your back, choke you out. There was a fighter in Pride back in the day, Zulozinho, and he was absolutely gigantic, and I used to train with him a little bit, and that was my tactic every time. Take his back and try and choke him out, because he'd throw me around like a rag doll. But dude, that one punch that you landed on that guy, I felt sorry for him, man. You floored him.
I felt sorry for him as well. It was such a sweet science punch, because he sort of walked onto it at the same time. And I mean, you've hit a lot of people in your life, and you usually feel something on the end of your fist. I didn't feel anything. It just went through his face. it was like a hit a feather pillow, you know? And that's when I was like, because I didn't feel anything, it was like, oh, like that must have, because his head just spun round. I was like, oh man, I'm going to go to prison now.
Yeah.
But yeah, luckily he regained consciousness a couple of minutes later and was okay. I mean, he had a sore head for a few days, but he was all right.
Did you talk to him after?
Yeah, no, we did. I went and made sure they were okay after the fight. But yeah, you know what? Like, fair play to them. They've got to have balls of steel to get in the cage of someone my size as well.
Yep.
And they did. And a lot of the stuff before the fight, we had a few, like, what's the right word? We had a few agreements in place where I couldn't actually put my body weight and slam them into the ground, you know, because you don't want to break people's necks and stuff.
No.
But they, like, I was saying, like, do you want 8-ounce gloves? Do you want 12-ounce gloves? And they're like, no, we want 4-ounce gloves. And I was like, are you sure? Like, yeah. I was like, okay.
Well, they've got to maximize their impact if they're going to do any damage.
Yeah, I just felt sorry for him, man. It was Yeah. It was good fun though. It was good fun.
Yeah. No, and it was good fun to watch. And congrats, mate. Congrats. As I said, we were texting a few weeks ago, and obviously I'm seeing a few rumors around here and there. But one name that I saw, and that's why I texted you, was Tyron Woodley, the former UFC welterweight champion of the world. Is there any truth to that? Has that gained any traction since then?
I mean, his name has never come under my nose, but I'm not saying there isn't any truth to it, because I've been talking to several outfits, trying to get another fight under my belt, so to say. And it's probably true that somebody reached out to Tyron Woodley saying, "Would you fight Eddie Hall?" So yeah, it probably is true.
Yeah. All right. Well, he did say recently that he's definitely coming back to MMA as well. So you never know. A bit of a step up in weight class for him again, but still. I see a rumor of you maybe the Mountain from Game of Thrones. Any truth to that one?
No, I don't think. He's stuck into his strongman at the minute. I don't think he wants to get back into fighting. But if he did, I'm all for it.
Pudzianowski?
There's a lot of talk with me versus Pudzianowski. 5 times world's strongest man. I mean, he's been doing MMA for 15 years, 16 years, I think. Time. Yeah, and you know, I've got to be brutally honest. He's a hard bastard. You can, you know, of course, he's had his arse handed to him like any fighter has. But the ones he's won, you're like, wow, like he's put some good world champions on their arse and done very well. Yeah, I want to get stuck into that. I'm trying my best to get a contract put in place to fight Mariusz, hopefully early next year. So I'm going quite heavy training for that, really. Nice.
And obviously you'll be there. Do you train with Tom Aspinall? Like, is that the gym that you go to predominantly?
When camp starts, I think that's where I will go to a lot for my sparring, because he's got some big lads up there. And Tom's great. You know, I can ring Tom up and say, can we jump in the ring next week and do a bit of sparring? And he's brilliant. And luckily he doesn't take my head off my shoulders. He's a good sparring partner.
Yeah. No, Tom's the man. He really is. And people are sick of me saying how good of a man he is. Anyway, so I'm not going to go any further. I was reading, obviously we're going to speak today, so I gave you a little Google search. And I saw an article recently, I think it was from Loughborough University, and they did a test on you, that your bottom half of your body, the tendons and stuff like that, are twice as thick or as strong, or you're just genetically gifted compared to average men. And when I was reading it, I thought that's a bit of a slap in the face for you, because you've worked your ass off, and they're like, no, it's just genetics. What did you think of that?
I thought it was a good study, to be fair. I think what was a surprise to me, I think the leg muscles, they call them the rope muscles?
Roll? Yeah.
Rope muscles or something like that.
Rope muscles, that was it, yeah.
Rope muscles. So like, it's the muscles that are closer to your skeleton, not the outer muscles. And I've got 4 times as much rope muscles as a normal person. But the tendons are only, I think it's something like 15% bigger than a normal person. So I've got 4 times the muscle mass, but only 15% bigger tendons. So it just goes to show, like, the tensile strength of my tendons must be like marine rope, you know, being able to deadlift half a ton off the floor. The tendons have got to be so strong. So it was really interesting, and I think just highlighting the fact that, you know, through 20 years of lifting weights, that's what it does to the skeleton. You know, it makes the body more resilient and more stronger in that respect.
Yeah, because when it comes to strength, ultimately it's the posterior chain. That's the most important part. And anytime I'm training MMA, it's the same thing. When I started back in the day, my coach used to talk about the posterior chain, because that's where the core strength is generated, right?
Yeah, no, 100%. And I think MMA fighters, I think that's the most important thing as well. Punching power. It's always the people with the strongest back that have got the best punching power. So
interesting.
Makes sense.
Interesting. Yeah. So to increase punching power, you would advise to strengthen the back.
So I've done a lot of research into this, actually. So to get the most punch power, you have to have a super strong back and also your grip. So I trained recently with a climber called Magnus Mitbo, and I took him in the ring with me. And afterwards, my coach said to me, he's like, "Ed," so I'm not even joking, like, he would make an amazing fighter. His punch power was out of this world. And he never thrown a punch in his life. And it was just that grip strength and the back strength just made him such a good fighter.
Yeah, I mean, the core strength that they have, for one, is ridiculous. Yeah. What would you say to a young man or woman that wants to start on a journey down the path that you went down? What kind of advice would you give them?
Don't bother. Jesus. Who wants to put the body through what I did for 20 years just for a shitty gold trophy? Jesus Christ.
Come on, mate. You're living a good life. Don't lie, Eddie. I see you all over the place. I saw you on, what was it? PC World. I saw a commercial of you. I'm watching Sky the other day.
No, Curry's. Yeah, I did a commercial of Curry's, yeah.
For anyone in America that doesn't know what Curry's is like a store where you go buy washing machines and computers and all the rest of it. And in the commercial, it's brilliant. You've got your phone, you put it down and you pick up a medicine ball, smash it. Oh, no, it's your laptop, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's a pretty good sponsor, Eddie.
No, yeah. Yeah, you've stumped me there. Yeah, I've done all right of it. But in general, it's not that good a rewarding sport as people think. But if people are going to get into it, I would just say consistency, and a bit like fighting, you have to lose a lot of fights to get the wins. And I think you've got to realize that with the gym is you've got to have a lot of failures. You've got to attempt those lifts, fail a lot of lifts to be able to get those gold medals. I remember I kept losing competitions like World's Strongest Man, Britain's Strongest Man, and my psychiatrist I was working with said to me at the time, what if I told you were only 8 losses away from winning the World's Strongest Man? And that's when it clicked in my head. It's like, you've got to go through those losses. You've got to have those failures to be the best. So have faith in the system.
That's really interesting, because I talk about that all the time, persistency and not giving up on yourself. Because again, to bring myself into it, it was the same thing for me, because every time I was doing it, every time I would lose, I'm talking about, I would learn a little bit. I would make some tweaks. I would change my diet. I wouldn't do this as much. I wouldn't do that as much. I would recover more, and so on and so forth. Maybe change the way that I cut weight. And ultimately, eventually, you figure it out and then you get there. Is that what you're talking about?
Basically, yeah, it's the same. I mean, fighting's especially like that. You've got to have those losses. You've got to have those knockouts, unfortunately, to go away and put your tail between your legs, to come back and train harder and eat better and sleep better. I'm just going to change the settings because it looks like I've got a makeup setting on here.
Well, you look like you've been on the sunbed, and you don't have to lie, Eddie. I know you're not a bodybuilder.
There's a touch-up appearance. I've just turned it off. You can see my wrinkles now.
You look good, buddy. You're looking good. You look good. I want to go back to what you were talking about before with the punch power, because that's really interesting, because people always say, certainly in the fight world, that the punch power is kind of, I'm not a religious man, but they say it's kind of God-given. You're either born with it or you're not. You've got it or you haven't. So what kind of research went into this? You said you did a bit of study on punching power. What kind of things did you look at?
Well, did you catch? So I did the power cube thing at the UFC, where you punch the cube. So I've got the highest score on that right now. It's something like 200 and it's 210,000.
Sounds like a lot.
Yeah.
And that's is that 210,000 pounds of pressure per square inch?
I don't know how they work it out, but Alex, is it Pereira? I shouldn't butcher his name because is it Pereira? Yeah, Alex Pereira.
What did he get?
So he had the record for ages. He had 190,000, and then I came along and smashed it and did 210. So I was quite proud of myself. But then another gentleman brought a cube, put it against a brick wall, and I hit that as hard as I could, and I got 203 kilos. That was measured in kilos. Right. So whatever, that one punch generated 203 kilos on the pad at one time. So I don't know. I don't know. I'd quite fancy 203 kilo on one spot in my face just for like a splat.
I'm just thinking those poor 65 kilo little bastards that he's in the face. It's like 2 Alex Pereiras. Boom.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, shit. You're going to get everyone coming after you now when this comes out. Oh, he's sitting there saying he punches harder than Pereira.
Mate, right. So have you been to the UFC center?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Right. So that cube is on the wall. And the thing is, right, so everyone's like, oh, yeah, but Alex Pereira only hit it once. I'm telling you now, I've been that center, and they queue up all day hitting that thing. All day. So the fact that I just walked in and smashed it a few times and hit 210, I was like, you guys, they can stand there all day and try and beat that, and they won't get it. Yeah.
Mic drop, one crack, off. I'm out of here, you losers. I'll tell you one person that doesn't hit that cube. Can you guess who? Me. That. I'm not having that. Like this old bastard. He's soft. Jesus Christ. What else is going on, Eddie, before I let you go?
I think the main thing for me is fighting Mariusz Pudzianowski. I think that, I really want that fight. I think it's something that people want to see as well. Two world's strongest man giants colliding at once. I think it's exciting, isn't it? I'm doing arm wrestling with Neil Pickup.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah, with Neil Pickup. Yeah.
So I'm actually arm wrestling Brian Shaw in the middle of December. And I think that's going to go down in Vegas, actually. So that
when is that going to be in Vegas? Because I'm going to be there in December
the 14th. Las Vegas.
That's a Sunday, right? Or something like that. Yeah.
It'll probably be a Saturday. Yeah.
Oh, God damn. I'm going to be in Tampa, Florida. Oh, well, never mind.
On holiday.
Oh, yeah, on holiday. I never get to go on holiday, mate. Work, cheeky drink, work.
Mate, are you like me, right? So if I fly away on business and I'll be like, go Las Vegas for a week, do a lot of filming and whatever, come back, I'll have a lie-in the next day. And my wife will be like, oh, have a lie-in, have we? Have we just been on holiday? Every time I leave the country, always for business, it's always a holiday. I can never just go away. Do you get the same?
I can't say I do. I would love to for comedy value. For comedy value, I would love to say that.
I'm gonna use this to show my wife that your wife lets you go away abroad on work and it's not called a holiday. That's great.
She lets me sleep in. She brings me coffee in the morning. I can't. She's a saint. Bastard. She is, and she's put up with me for 25 goddamn years. You know what I mean? Yeah. She needs a award. Harrington, what's up, buddy?
Well, so I was wondering, Eddie, not to sign you up for competitions you're not really interested in, but you're talking about arm wrestling, you're talking about boxing.
I know where this is going.
I'm wondering, is there any chance you would ever sign up for Power Slap?
Oh my God!
You know what? That's why I actually ran. Have you been there in person at a Power Slap?
Bro, I'm the commentator,
mate. It's evil. So I ran one in Dubai, mate. That I literally watched a man get slapped, fall down, and I watched his chest. He stopped breathing for like 2 minutes. And when I saw that, I was like, this. Like you'd have to pay me. In fact, no, I'll take it all back. Everyone's got a price. Everybody's got a price. Yeah, you get me the right money, I'll come and do Power Slap.
I might know some people there. I'm commentating Power Slap in Saudi Arabia. I leave at the weekend. There's another one coming up soon as well. I might know a man who knows a man who knows a man, and I reckon you could slap the shit out of someone.
But Michael, you get me a good figure sent across on a text, mate, and I'll turn up, man.
Okay. Harrington, was there any good questions on Twitter for Eddie before we let him go?
Just the one from Corey Miller. He wants to know, who in the UFC do you think would do well at strongman, if anyone?
Oh, that's a great question.
And before you answer that, before you give me a name, obviously fighting, you're going to be dedicated and all the rest of it. But what kind of attributes do you need as an individual to make it as a strong man? Because I'm sure there's a lot that goes into it that someone like me has no idea about.
Right. I mean, I've got a name that's come to mind, but I'll describe it first. So long levers, so long arms, long legs, long torso. If you've got all those attributes, you're already miles ahead of everyone else.
Sorry to interrupt. Really? See, because I always say, because my son, Lucas, he's only 14 and he's lifting, but he's got super long limbs. Yeah. And I'm like, your range of motion is so much further. So don't worry about it, son. That's why you're struggling. But you disagree.
I disagree. You know more. I disagree because your body can hold more muscle mass than the shorter guys. So like these guys like Brian and Thor and like Tom Stoltman, they're all like 6'8", 6'9". And they're just so much stronger than everyone else, just because they can hold so much more muscle mass. If you've got height in strongman, then you've got such a big advantage. Such a big
interesting.
So to answer the question, who I think could transfer over very well, I think Francis Ngannou would absolutely smash strongman. I think it's just got that natural raw strength. I think, was he like shoveling shit for years in where's
sand,
sand, like that kind of like endurance and raw strength. Like he would dominate. He would kill.
Yeah. Interesting. What about our boy Tom
Aspinall? I tell you what, he's strong.
Just say he's a pussy. He's too weak. Just say that line for me, Eddie. Tom's too weak.
Mate, this is going to be cut up and sent to him. I know it is. Okay.
Of course it is.
Okay. Yeah, Tom Aspinall's a right pussy. Yeah. Like bench 20 kilo. He'd be shit. Yeah, crap.
Pathetic. Yeah. Eddie, thanks for your time, mate. Always a pleasure talking to you. Thank you very much. I'll let you go, mate.
Thank you. Cheers, Michael. Nice to see you, man.
All right, Harrington. I tell you what a nice guy.
Dude, for the beast, he's an absolute sweetheart.
That blew my mind, because I've always thought, and maybe I use it as an excuse to myself, because, shorter guys with shorter arms, typically you see guys in the gym when you go to like a meathead's gym. You get the short, little, stocky guys with the weights belt on, and they've got the gloves on. They've got the whole shebang. They've got the vest with the big bloody rips here. You know what I mean? I just think, oh, you dickhead. Why you come? It's LA Fitness. You're not at Muscle Beach. You know what I mean? But I always thought, they're short and they got a small range of motion. That's why they can move so much. So I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I always think of the same way, like super compact guys. You say they're built like a fire hydrant or whatever. I always assume those were the guys who are going to be able to deadlift the most. But the way he's talking about it, that does make a ton of sense.
No, it does. And welcome to the show, everybody. Obviously, that was Eddie Hall, the world's former strongest man, 5-time strongest man. Thank you for joining us. Him versus Tyron Woodley. I wouldn't advise that, Tyron. All the best here. And I know he's talking about coming back. I'm not sure if that's smart, whatever. We've talked about that before. But I don't think you're going to blast double Eddie Hall. That's for damn sure. Also, in a little bit on the show, we have the one and only Darren the Damage Elkins. Elkins fights this weekend. And he's just a guy that's kind of gone under the radar, in my opinion. He's had such a long career. I think he's had almost 40 professional fights, been around the UFC forever. And, he wins some and he loses some, but my God, he shows up. He's got a great skill set, and he's always covered in blood at the end of every single goddamn fight. And his fights are truly inspirational. So I was looking at the fight card this weekend, and I thought, we got to get Elkins on. And you said he's one of your favorite fighters.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this is a guy who, if you remember after that insane upset of Mirsad Bektic, where he was like losing the whole fight, then he hits the head kick. He ended up getting himself a 5-fight win streak at that point. It was like, this guy might be on the short track to a title. He loses to some guy who's coming up in the rankings, and it kind of like those title hopes go away. That guy, Alexander Volkanovski.
Absolutely.
He's been right there for so much of his career, and people just kind of like he never gets talked about in that way.
He doesn't. And then that's why I kind of wanted to, give him a platform, and he needs some recognition, because he's probably not going to be around too much longer. Anyway, whatever. That's to come later in the show. Passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time, or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, exclusions apply. So it's funny that Eddie mentioned Francis Ngannou there. Of course, Ngannou returns this weekend. against Renan Ferreira. I think it's for the PFL Championship, but I'm not too concerned about that. But it's interesting to see Ngannou coming back to MMA. Of course, he was the UFC champ. He had the 2 boxing fights. Probably made somewhere in the region of $30 million if I was to hazard a guess. He's getting paid $12 million this weekend against Renan Ferreira. And Tom Aspinall came out this week and he was saying that Renan Ferreira just isn't elite because one of the losses on his record was, what's his name? I forget now. Something, without his record in front of me, I can't remember. But Tom said he wasn't elite. And what this guy did was, because I watched the fight, took him down, got on top, pounded him out in about 4 minutes. But I watched a couple of these other fights because then the algorithm starts suggesting them. And this Ferreira guy's got some good striking, and I was really, really impressed. So I did a video on this. I think there's a lot of pressure coming on Ngannou. Get it together, Mike. A lot of pressure on Ngannou this week simply because he lost the 2 fights in boxing. Yeah, he got paid an absolute fortune. He's getting paid an absolute fortune this weekend. But he wants to win. He's got the money. He wants to win. And of course, he had what happened early in the year with his son, sadly. And I don't even want to talk about that. But I feel like there's a lot of pressure on Ngannou.
Yes, certainly. I mean, he did in the initial press conference, like the kickoff press conference for this fight, he did say this was going to be a tribute to his son who passed away.
Did he really?
Yeah. And that was like his whole focus and motivation for all of training camp and to get himself out of the bed in the morning. So, you talk about the silk sheets thing, right? How do you get your head in the game for an MMA fight with $30 million in the bank? I think that's a pretty good way, right? To honor, your son who passed away far too quickly and put you in a pretty dark place. Add to that the way Pereira was talking about, I understand there was the translation mix up, but there is a chance that Pereira was throwing some shade at that. And that's got to still light a fire under Ngannou, whether it's real or imagined.
Yeah. What was the line that he said?
I think he said, my fight is going to be the worst thing to happen to Ngannou this year.
That's right. And he said he didn't mean that. But it's interesting what you said there, because you're absolutely right. To honor the memory of your son that passes away, you would think, right, I owe it to him to continue the family name and show up as the best version of myself, because it's so easy to go away and just spiral into depression, disappear, take your money. I mean, he made, I don't know, let's say 30 million off the boxing. He was already a millionaire from the UFC, so the man's a very, very wealthy guy. He doesn't need to fight. It would have been so easy to just go, right, this, I am just going on the biggest bender ever, which would be terrifying, by the way. We used to talk about this with Lewis back in the day. Imagine Francis Ngannou comes into a bar, wasted, just mad and angry, foaming at the mouth. It's like, I'm out of there, mate. I'm like, yeah. Maybe you saw that YouTube video. There's boom. I'm at the fire exit as soon as you can. So all the best to Francis Ngannou this weekend. May the best man win. What do you think, Harrington? Who do you think takes it?
I mean, I have to lean Ngannou, based off of what Tom was saying. But I mean, I don't know. Also from what Tom was saying, the guy who beat Ferreira was somebody who was able to take him down. I remember I watched the final where Ferreira won the $1 million and got himself a spot in the Bellator Champion Series against Bader. And the narrative in that was he's going to get double-legged, he's going to get taken down, he's going to get held there. And his takedown defense held up, and he was able to dominate on the feet. Somebody like Pereira, who is a little bit bigger than Ngannou, who might hit a little bit harder, we just don't know, and who's likely going to make it a stand-up fight. It should be all fireworks.
Well, he's good on the feet. He really is. He uses a lot of feints. He uses his reach well, uses his range. So it ain't going to be easy. But you got to think Ngannou, I don't know, they both hit hard. They both got one-punch knockout power. Ngannou would have improved with all that boxing work that he did against Mike Tyson. But the big question is how do you come back from a knockout like what he had against Anthony Joshua, where he was just, and I hesitate to use this term, but it's true, he was just absolutely outclassed. And Anthony Joshua looked phenomenal in that fight. He just took his time, looked for the openings, saw the rhythm, saw, when he should throw the punch, and then boom, flatlined him with every one that he threw. It was unbelievable. So anyway, best of luck to those guys.
Oh, Mike, did you see Cowboy wants to come back?
I did see that. Was there a video about it? Because I didn't see the video. Oh, is this him here? Let's have a look. Because I know it was all about the TRT and whatnot.
Oh, he's fully admitting in this video.
Let's have a listen.
Put out a little promo for his comeback.
I can get 2 more fights. When I retired, I told you I was getting my hair done and getting on steroids. When I was 50, been sitting on my mind for a while. So I've been working with Transcend the last 2 years, taking TRT, a bunch of peptides. Now we got a protocol for all you people like, oh, what if you get on it, you can't ever come off? Well, I now have to come off and piss clean. Fight in a few months. So watch this.
Look at this head of hair. It's egregious at this point.
It's like Gordon Ryan's beard. He certainly does have a head of hair. He got the hair. The only thing he didn't get was the turkey teeth. He's got the TRT. He got the peptides. But he's also got the losses recently as well. I mean, how long has he been away now? A couple of years, something like that?
2 years.
2 years away.
Does Steroid Cowboy have losses?
Well, it's a weird one, isn't it?
No, I mean, sure.
Because he's not the only one talking about coming back. Tony Ferguson said this week as well that he's too old to retire. And I saw that Dana was talking about it. And I think Dana said that he's kind of not interested. I think, what did Cerrone say? He wants to come back and have 2 more, and that'll make it 50 professional fights.
Yeah, well, 50 fights under the Zuffa banner. So between WEC and UFC, 50 fights, that's a pretty impressive number.
Oh, my God. No, that's a ridiculous number. It really is. 50 fights on the Zuffa. Jesus Christ. Yeah, I can't lie. You know, I mean, the steroids, I mean, yeah, you get it out your system, you piss clean, but you've still had advantages from that. And I think that would be the first thing that anybody would point to, you know, if they had half a brain straight away. But I think Dana said that if he wants to make money, maybe they'll figure something out, maybe find a job for him or whatever. But he wasn't necessarily sure that him coming back. I forget what his losing streak was at the time, but I remember there was quite a few of them towards the end.
Well, he had 7 fights in a row without a win. He had 4 losses in a row and then 2 losses in a row with a no contest breaking it up in there with Nico Price.
Yeah, and then 7 losses in a row. What's Tony Ferguson on? Is it 8 now?
I believe it's either 7 or 8.
7 or 8. Tony said, I'm too old to retire, which sounds like a crazy statement, but I think I know what he means. I think he means this is just all I know. I'm too old to find something else. I'm too old to do something else and reinvent myself. And I disagree. What's the man? Let's just say he's 40 years old. He's somewhere around there.
Right.
Even if he is 40, you still got half your life left to live. You know, I think that's what people don't realize as fighters. Yeah, I'm still in the fight game. I'm still doing what I'm doing. But you can go off in many, many different directions. Charles Oliveira said they need to give him a matchup that's kind of friendly to him. I kind of get that. I understand what Charles is saying there. What do you think?
Well, I mean, you know, for the longest time, Ferguson was talking about CSO, right? So it's like, if you're talking about that and that's what you're coming to the matchmakers with, then what are
Champ
they
shit only.
Yeah, what are they going to do but put you against people who are in the title picture? If you're saying now, I can't retire because I'm too old, then you need to fight the other old guys. That's just there's no 2 ways about it. It's no longer champ shit only. It's like, you know, is Jim Miller available? Is Clay Guida available? You know, like they're like almost setting up a legends division around him at this point.
That's a good idea. If he is going to fight, and by the way, 8-fight losing streak, the man's a legend of the game. Simple as that. You know, he was never the actual champ. I think he was an interim champ though, right? For a little bit.
Yeah,
he was the interim champion. Beat Kevin Lee. Oh, he beat Kevin Lee to bits. What a fight that was. And that was always Tony's thing. He'd always just take so much damage and then just turn it around because he was tough as they came. Simple as that. But now he's on a 7-fight losing streak. Jim Miller, that's a good shout. Go back down to 155. Fight Jim freaking Miller and then make that the last one for the love of God. Anyway, we've got Darren Elkins joining us in a bit, so we'll talk a little bit about the fights this weekend with him. Next week, we'll be in Abu Dhabi. Well, I will. Anyway, I'll be in Abu Dhabi. Max Holloway versus Ilia Topuria and Khamzat Chimaev going up against Whitaker, as we all know. You see the footage of him training wrestling with the guy that won the gold medal in Paris in wrestling.
I mean, wrestling with him, is maybe a bit of a credit to this Olympian. I would say dominating this guy.
Brian. Yeah, let's have a look here. So this is the Olympic gold medal.
Right, Khamzat in black there.
Bit of a scramble. Gets on top, gets the body lock here. Drags him down. He's got top position. He's got wrist control. Now he's got the headlock. Drags him back. Goes down for the gilly. Doesn't get it. They roll through. And then they separate. Now, I don't know. I don't follow Olympic wrestling, so I can't pretend I know this guy. What weight class was that guy from?
I'm not certain either. I'll look at him. I'll look up his name right now.
Yeah, he looked like a similar size though, regardless of the weight class. I mean, that just shows you what you're dealing with. Khamzat Chimaev, I say it all the time, he's the toughest first round matchup for anybody, right? But can you weather that storm? Can you weather that storm? Can he make it to the fight healthy? Can he make weight? That's the big thing. 74 kilos. Thanks, Brian. So that's about 74. It's about 180 pounds. So it's almost 185. It's around about that. Jesus Christ. That is impressive. Then you combine the striking, then the submission threat that he has. I mean, we saw him go to the mounted guillotine there for a second. What's your early thoughts on that matchup?
I mean, look, if this matchup, my thoughts are, I just want this matchup to happen, right? I just really want this fight to go down. And Khamzat sharing that video, what are we, 9 days out from the fight? It's like, that's the first thing that's given me real pause for being, okay, Khamzat is serious. He's in the gym. He is healthy enough to be wrestling with an Olympic level wrestler, this far out from a fight. Like, it seems like all systems are go. So I'm super excited for that. But, as far as a winner goes, this is as coin flippy as it gets, because Khamzat can't survive out of the first round. Robert Whitaker, if he gets caught, it's in that first round. So it's the ultimate clash of of styles and outcomes here.
The big thing is that's always kind of plagued Khamzat is the discipline. From what I hear from certain people, it's like he wasn't the most disciplined with training. He's a bit of a maniac, and a lot of us are.
Snickers bars in the drawer while you're cutting weight.
Yeah, exactly, all that shit. But also just a bit of a hothead, a bit of a maniac, and emotionally unstable. Which there's certainly zero judgment there, because I've been guilty of that in the past as well, but that was always the thing. Is Khamzat locked in? Is he dialed in? Is he distracted? Is he feeling the pressure? Is he doing what he needs to do? If he does do, and I've heard also from sources that he is, that this is like a new version of Khamzat, and if it is, then Jesus Christ, the fight for Robert Whitaker just got even tougher, because in the first round, he is ridiculous. Nobody picks up Kamaru Usman and dominates him the way that he did. Look what he did to Gilbert Burns in the first round. And look what he does to everybody else in the first round. Picking up Li Jingliang, having a conversation with Dana. It's unreal. It's unreal. But it's over 5 rounds. It's a 5-round co-main event. Can he sustain that over 5? Because he couldn't sustain it over 3. So I think that's a big, big advantage for Robert Whitaker. That kind of tips the balance. If I'm looking at this fight and I'm leaning towards a potential winner early, then I'd lean towards Whitaker.
So I think you're seeing a new and improved Khamzat, like that dedication, because after this last pullout with Whitaker, I think a lot of people started to sour on Khamzat a little bit for the first time, right? Like, people made excuses and they were still talking about a Khamzat smash, through multiple times missing weight, changing opponents. The fans rode with him for quite a while. This is the first time he's gotten that kind of blowback where it's like, oh, I might not just be on a cakewalk to a UFC title fight. Like, I could see all of this going away, and I think he's really locked in and dialed in for this Whitaker fight as a result of that.
So that's a really good point, Harrington, because social media is a pain in the ass. It's great. It's fun. Like people always say, oh, you're wasting your life away. It's like, no, I'm not. I'm just sitting on the couch. I'm bored. I'd be just sitting on the couch watching some bullshit on TV. I'd rather watch something online just for a second, just scroll Instagram. I'm sitting on the toilet. I'm taking a dump. Okay. I've just learned all about the galaxies. I learned some crazy shit on there. I don't know if it's all true, but aren't necessarily wasting your time. I've learned some good stuff. Like Lucas is always coming up to me and saying, Dad, did you know? I'm like, right, you need to get off TikTok. But when you start getting blowback from fans and you start getting shit, you can use that two ways. You can use it to motivate you and get off your ass, or you can get mad about it and angry about it, delete the app and talk shit to everybody. But it does resonate. It does have a place. So, yeah, that's good. Good for Khamzat. I hope he is motivated because we want to see the best fight possible. And I think whoever wins that, other than Strickland, they're fighting for the belt.
I don't see how you give Strickland the title shot over guys who are willing at the very top, willing to fight each other. But it's not my call. It's Dana's.
Yeah, but didn't Dana already say Strickland's the guy? I'm talking about whoever wins between Drickus and Strickland, they'd be up next. But still, yeah. Social media, obviously. You put this in the notes, Harrington, about Liam Payne. Liam Payne is not someone that I knew the name of. I know he was in One Direction. And again, I can't say I'm a One Direction guy. I'm not a One Direction fan. But you put it in the notes, and then my wife was talking to me about it as well. And Rebecca's not a One Direction fan, but they were massive in the UK. One of the guys died this week, Liam Payne.
Yeah, Liam Payne passed away yesterday. He fell from his balcony of his hotel room in Argentina, 3 floors into the courtyard. There was a 911 call, or I don't know, whatever Argentina's version is of 911. But there was a call to the police mate saying this guy he's causing havoc in the room. He's destroying the room. We believe he's intoxicated, and we're very concerned with the fact that his room has a balcony. So police, please rush down here. So, I mean, the hotel staff was on it, but apparently this guy just couldn't be reached. And that was that.
Well, it's really sad because I saw a video as well, and there's a deeper discussion to this, which we'll get to in a second. But I saw a video as well, which was apparently on the day. It was like 3 hours before he died, and he's in his hotel room in Argentina, and he's with his girlfriend, who's a very pretty girl. And it's all just like, like the type of shit I'd put on an Instagram story, just having a bit of banter with Rebecca or whatever. And it seemed all fun and games, and it seemed all lovely. And then a few hours later, the man's dead. And apparently in the room, there was drugs and what appeared to be cocaine and scrunched up pieces of foil, which I would assume is for smoking heroin. I don't know what else you use foil for. I don't know. I'm not an expert in that world, but there was certainly all kinds of drugs, paraphernalia all over the room, alcohol involved as well. And then this morning, as I'm having my coffee, I'm just scrolling social media and I start seeing apparently he was getting hounded on social media. Apparently there was something like 5,000 negative posts made towards him in the last week or so, something like that. And so, as I say, it kind of relates to what we were talking about Khamzat before. I mean, people go out there and you talk shit, you forget this is just a human being, and 1 minute you're on top of the world, you're in One Direction. Again, if you told me to name One Direction song or I'm going to blow your brains out, I'd be dead. Can you name a One Direction song?
I can name a Harry Styles song. I can't name a One Direction song.
There you go. Harry Styles was also in One Direction. I can't name a Harry Styles either. But it all just started to get on top of him by the looks of it. I saw this article, and as I say, it said all these tweets, but it also said his net worth, which was about 100 million or something crazy like that. But it's like 1 minute you're on top of the world, you're making ridiculous money, you're touring all over the place. Next minute, I don't know if he was washed up, but potentially. Next minute you're washed up and people are just talking shit, and then the media are coming after you and writing all kinds of articles about you.
Well, I mean, I'm just picturing it like that is the downside of childhood stardom, right? Like this guy's 17, 18, 19 years old when One Direction takes off. I know they were like a Simon Cowell project where it was just different people who were on X Factor, and Simon Cowell was like, no, I think you 5 would all go real good together. Put them together, and it's like, before you know it, these guys were selling out stadiums. Like this is the tour that Taylor Swift is on right now. Like that's the path that One Direction was on. You couldn't go into the street as one of these guys without getting absolutely swept swarmed by people, and to sit, like, to have that be a thing in your life and watch that, you know, slowly start to slip away and fade away. And you're somebody who you looked at as like a brother or a peer in Harry Styles continue to have that kind of like level of success and fame. And then instead you're getting just, you know, railroaded by the internet, you know, making fun of you. Like, I could see how that would mess with your psyche to a point where if you were on a significant amount of drugs that make you paranoid, a quick trip down a third story floor seems like, you know, the only way out. It's like that.
Is that all it was? 3 stories.
3 stories. Yeah, it was the 3rd floor.
So 3 stories doesn't sound too high.
I didn't think so either.
3 stories. What would that? If we said each story's, I mean, it could be 60 feet.
I think it's 10 feet. So it's a 30-foot drop, which is significant.
Yeah. I mean, if you fall 30 feet and you land on your head.
Yeah.
So you got to assume he jumped off the balcony in like a crazy depression-induced, alcohol and drug-induced rage, just jumped off a balcony. It's crazy because they said they were concerned about the balcony. When I was, you know, because I used to have these night terrors. Mm-hmm. I talked about it on Rogan. I used to do crazy shit, like remember Christmas Day. I told the story many times. Ran out of the house naked and came to, and I'm on the neighbor's fence. When I was in Cancun, Mexico, that's when I was having these night terrors, and we were way higher than 3 stories. It was probably like the 24th floor, right? We were right up high, beautiful view of the beach, incredible. But I was terrified because of these night terrors. Right, I ran out of the house naked on Christmas Day. Came to on the neighbor's wall. You know, covered in blood because I'd stubbed my toes everywhere. Had no idea. I thought, I better not run out of that balcony in the middle of the night having a night terror. So I would lock the balcony every single night. You know what I mean? Jesus Christ.
Dude, I did a bit of partying in Vegas recently, and I found the only rooftop in Vegas where like you just have access to it from your room. And I'm like, this should not be a thing in any Vegas hotel room. People come here and lose way too much money they don't have for you to ever have access to, you know, a high open area.
Yeah, they do love a good balcony in some Vegas hotels, but you can't do that. You can't assume that everyone's going to be. People like a balcony. I love to sit on the balcony when I'm away, have coffee, you know, in the morning. It's beautiful, especially if you're in like a nice place by the ocean. Sit and have your coffee, listen to the lapping of the waves and just sit there and have your coffee and like nag at Rebecca. Come on, get ready. I love it because she takes ages to get ready. So I tell her to get ready because I'm going to sit here and have another coffee or two because you're going to be a while yet. You're going to be a long, long time. Anyway, RIP to that guy. And before you go after people on social media and start talking shit and saying nasty stuff and writing articles about people, just think about the effect it's having on these people because they're individuals at the end of the day. And we don't know the full story. And maybe there's more to it. Maybe he had depression, you know, but because I saw this one, I let me just see it here. It's a crazy number. Here it is here. There was a significant uptick in the 2 weeks until midday on Wednesday. There were 42,500 negative posts mentioning the star, which is close to 900,000 engagements and a potential reach of 2.2 billion people. That's insane. Imagine that feeling.
Yeah, 2.2 billion people just seeing that you stink. But here's my question for you. If you had that kind of money, if your net worth was $200 million, I'm sure it's like only half that.
Yeah, it's close. It's close. You know, 75.
If your net worth was $200 million, would you even have Instagram?
See, this is the problem though, because it's whilst you get all the negative bullshit, you also get the positive stuff as well. You know what I mean? And you go online and you Google I don't Google my own name, but you know, certain people would. You Google your own name or you go to your Twitter account and people say nice things and that's great. And the weird thing is you could have 50 positive comments and the one negative comment is the one that gets all your attention. You ignore all the others. And that's just a weird thing about the human psyche, you know, and that's why you just got to it all off. I'm trying to stay off it. I do it for a little bit of entertainment when I'm sitting in and I'm bored. I go on the For You on Twitter and there's some mad shit. The craziest shit. But yeah, try and avoid it.
I don't know, man. If I had $200 million, that's it. I'm canceling all my accounts. It's like, that feeling of adoration you get from people making a nice Instagram post about you. I would get that every morning from checking my bank balance, and I just wouldn't deal with it, dude. I'd check out completely from social media.
Yeah. All right. This episode is sponsored by PrizePicks. PrizePicks is the best place to get real money sports action with over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings. PrizePicks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You must pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 100 times your money. Run your game all season long on PrizePicks. So it's very simple. All you got to do, as I say, is pick more or less on certain stats. And as I said, you can times your money by up to 100. As I say, PrizePicks is the best way to get in on action on sports in over 30 states, including California, Florida, Georgia, and Texas. PrizePicks is the only real money daily fantasy platform with an injury insurance policy, so your lineups stay in play even if one of your players gets injured. If your player leaves in the first half and doesn't return, PrizePicks keeps your lineup live. PrizePicks is the best place to get real money sports action. Join over 10 million users and sign up today. And remember, PrizePicks puts its members first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. When my picks hit, I get my money in as quick as 15 minutes. And check this out. If you sign up today, you will get $50 instantly when you play just $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. PrizePicks also offers weekly projections that can lead to big payouts like Taco Tuesday. Each Tuesday, PrizePicks discounts select player projections up to 25% to provide even more value for your lineup. So download the PrizePicks app today. Use the code BELIEVE to get $50 instantly after you play just $5 on your first lineup. As I said, download the PrizePicks app. Use the code BELIEVE. You will get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Anyway, enough of that. I see you put something in the notes about Poirier and Conor. Mm-hmm. Dustin Poirier is saying that he's probably going to stick around for 2 fights, and something about them two almost getting into a street fight or something.
Yeah, so they were at the same venue. I'm not sure exactly what it was, but there was some kind of event where they ended up dang near crossing paths, according to Poirier and Conor. So Conor was there. A fan films him as he's walking by, and he says, "Oh, did you see Dustin? Dustin just walked by," and you can see the look of like, "Oh no," in Conor's face, and he goes, "Oh right, yeah, Dustin, blah blah blah."
Well, let's have a look.
Yeah. Watch his face.
There's somewhere to go. You see how Dustin went the other way? You see how Dustin walked the other way? He's right behind me. No way. Walk down this side right there. He's right there.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that's a look of, oh my God, I'm terrified. It was just a look of like interest that he's there. But I saw you put in the notes that Dustin Poirier said that him and Conor, and this is hilarious, are like Peter Griffin and the chicken on Family Guy.
Yeah, he said that
anytime they see each other, it's just on.
That's what he said. He said it would have been right then and there. He's like, Conor's lucky I didn't see him. Apparently, Poirier just walked past when Conor came in from the other direction. So they were going in opposite directions. But Poirier said if I'd have seen him, it would have been right then and there for life. He's talked too much crap about me. If I ever see him, it's going to be like when Peter sees the chicken in Family Guy. We're just going to start scrapping right then and there.
Do you really believe that? Because Dustin Poirier,
I do,
as good as a fighter that he is, as much of a mean son of a bitch, and he is, I'm telling you, he's a fighter to the absolute T, right? Under the definition of fighter, there's Dustin Poirier. That man's legit as they come, right? And I'm a huge fan. But he's always carried himself with class. I don't know if Dustin Poirier truly would be the type of guy to see Conor on the streets and just go for it.
Well, but you remember like when he was doing a parade through Louisiana or something like that, and some fan came up with a sign that was like, Jolene gave me her number, and he got into it with that fan, right?
Yeah, he slapped the sign, I think.
Right, but it's like if you're the guy who did that to Dustin Poirier, right? Where whenever Dustin Poirier goes now, some asshole fan thinks it's a funny thing to be like, your wife is in my DMs, and it's like you crossed a line that made it very inappropriate and very uncomfortable for your wife to be out in public with you. I think that's the one guy who you would say, street justice, dude. Like you really made it uncomfortable for my family That's that you cross the line, and we're never going to fight in the cage again. So I can beat you up here in some random arena.
Yeah. You know what? Because I did forget about the stuff. Your wife's in my DMs and all that type of stuff, and clackety clack and all this. Like he was going to send people to the house and have them murdered and shit. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I get it. I just think, I don't know. Maybe my estimation of Dustin's control is a little bit overestimated. He seems like a guy that's in control of his emotions. That's what I mean. That even though he would love to get his hands on him, I just don't know if he would, but maybe I'm completely wrong, because I understand your point. And if I'm maybe because I'm looking at it as a 45-year-old pussy these days, right? But I don't know. I just don't know. He's such a public figure. Conor McGregor. I mean, but that's going to make a fight happen, isn't it?
I mean, it would be absolutely, it would lead everything. It would lead, everything from the New York Times to TMZ, like everybody would pick up on this. You're probably right. Dustin Poirier is, while he could be pissed off, this is still like, he's a family man. He's a business owner. He's a respectful guy. Chances are he wouldn't, but there is like that little piece in my mind that's like, man, you went too far and I can't let that go.
Yeah, and he did go a bit too far there. But anyway, still. All right, so anything else, Harrington?
Yeah, we got...
before the damage joins us.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about Conor McGregor, so I think it makes sense to stick with him. Him and Ilya got into a bit of a heated exchange this morning on Twitter, a little back and forth.
Now, hold on a minute. A heated exchange, that's a bit of a stretch here. Now, look, listen, they did go back and forth. Here, look, here's what Ilya said. He said, everything looks better than me. I'm more handsome, I'm richer, and I'm a better fighter than you. And Conor says, Artem Lobov retard. Haha. Poirier says, totally agree. Your best friend Artem. Tell me who you were with, and I'll tell you who you are. You're another retard. And then McGregor goes, I'm boy retard. And then Poirier says, exactly. You finally stood what you are. Watch me fight October 26th. Listen, Poirier's the man. He's incredible. But that right there was like you at school going, you are what you say you are. Do you know what I mean? Don't tell me that that's heated. Don't tell me that's the absolute peak of trash talk, okay? That was pretty elementary, if you ask me.
Okay, well, peak is a bit of a stretch. You weren't involved. Chael wasn't involved. But, I mean, as far as what we have right now, that was pretty solid. And I respect Ilya going back and forth. He's now got the Conor McGregor's attention. There's 3 or 4 tweets. He knows people are going to pick it up. Put in the plug for your fight date. That's a good salesman there.
No, it was. It was smart to finish it off with the October 26th. Watch me fight. And I can't wait for that one, because that fight's going to be ridiculous. But saying that he's richer... He's richer than Conor McGregor. Come on. Speaking of insane, Harrington, get the hell out of here. Throw me to the other side, please, Brian. Speaking of insane, we are now joined by the insanely talented, the one and only Darren, the Damage Elkins. What's up, brother?
What's up, brother? Not much, just chilling.
Yeah, man. Listen, you're looking good right now. But this is why I had to speak to you. I had to speak to you because you've had such a career, man. It's been unbelievable. It's truly inspirational. You're still getting better and better. Your skills are on display every time. And the heart that you show in every single fight and the damage that you sustain in some of those fights. We got to talk about that.
I thrive in the chaos, obviously, but the way I've been sticking around, like I said, I'm 40 years old, but like you said, I'm getting better and better, man. I feel better every fight. I'm still having fun. I still have, a lot of motivation to keep doing this. So until that's gone, I'm going to stick around for a little bit longer.
39 professional fights, 28 wins, 11 losses. How many years in the UFC, Darren? I'm just scrolling down here. Let's have a look. We're going back a long way.
14.
2010, 14 years.
Yep.
How's it been for you?
It's been fun, man. Ups and downs. You know how this game is. The highest of the highs, lowest of the lows. Sometimes you're on the top. Sometimes you're on the bottom. But I just love to compete. It's a big thing for me. I like to compete. I like to go out there and, I like to train and just put my technique on display and put my heart on display. So it's been a fun ride. I never thought I'd be here still at 40 years old, but I'm glad I am.
Yeah, no, and I'm glad you are as well. You've got a big fight this weekend against Daniel Pineda. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But as I say, the heart that you show in every fight is it's worth mentioning. It really is. I mean, yeah, you got fantastic jiu-jitsu and wrestling and good striking as well. But like, it's the heart that always stands out. Where did that come from? Have you always been like that, Darren?
Yeah, I've always been like that ever since wrestling and stuff like that. And I think that comes from like my childhood, you know. I've always had like a rougher start growing up. I was always like behind the eight ball, and people always doubted me. They never believed I could do a lot of things in my life. And my thing is always proving them wrong, right? Like they tell me I can't do something, I'm going to prove them wrong. And like in fighting, I'm the underdog. I think I'm an underdog in this fight. I'm an underdog in almost every fight. And my willingness is like, I'm going to prove them wrong. Please put me as an underdog because I'm going to prove you wrong. And I'm going to keep coming. I'm going to keep coming. And I've had the most wins as an underdog.
Yeah. Well, I was always the underdog as well. So ignore that shit. Where did you grow up, Darren?
Portage, Indiana.
Okay. And what was that like?
It was, it was good. We're right by Chicago. Wrestling was pretty much my life. I started wrestling when I was 5. I had an older brother. He wrestled too, and pretty much just wrestled and beat up each other all our lives.
It sounds like every brother that has a brother, every guy that has a brother, it's the same old thing, just fighting and wrestling and beating the shit out of each other.
Yeah, we used to have a wrestling mat in our basement. And we watched the old UFCs, and then we'd go down there and try the submissions and all that stuff. So yeah, it was kind of like he was a couple years older than me, so he like beat me up quite a bit.
Yeah, that's always the best way to start a fight career. And the wrestling, of course, as well. Now you're going up against Daniel Pineda this weekend. Tell me about Pineda and how you're feeling ahead of this one.
I like the fight. Obviously, he's a wild man too. Obviously, they put this fight together because it's going to be a great fight. He doesn't quit. He's durable. He keeps coming. He's zombie like me. If he gets hit, he just keeps on coming. Hell of aggressive. But I like this fight. I feel great for this fight. I feel like, it's going to be stand up. It's going to be wrestling. It's going to be jiu-jitsu. So when the chaos happens, that's usually when I do my best. And there's going to be a lot of chaos in this fight. It just happens every fight of mine.
Every time, every single time. And that's why I wanted to speak to you today. 40 years old. Do you think about potentially when the retirement time is going to come?
I keep saying I always thought I'd be tired by 40, but I've had a couple of injuries, and I didn't get as many fights as I want. So I was like, I'm going to stick around for a little while. And then the other thing is, because I've had the injuries, I let my body recover. I've had longer time for camps. And I feel like I'm getting better still. So like, man, I'm still getting better. I feel great. I don't fight as often, which I'm okay with. But, I think I'm going to stick around for a little bit longer. But I'm taking it fight by fight. I mean, I'm 40 years old. I can retire tomorrow. I can keep on going. I think I'm going to keep on going for a while. And when I feel like enough's enough, enough's enough.
Where do you live now?
I live in Sacramento.
Of course, because you're training with Team Alpha Male, so you live there.
Yes, I live there. I've moved my whole family out there. It's been about 8 years now we've been living out there.
What do you make of Sacramento? Because my son did a little training at Sacramento.
Yeah, I've seen him.
You didn't? You saw him?
Yeah, I saw him there. Yeah, when he was doing
nice.
During the COVID, he was training there at Alpha Male. Yeah, I seen him. Like, yeah, it's Bisping's son. I'm like, oh, okay. I didn't even know he wrestled, but yeah, he's.
You should have given him a little slap.
Your dad told me to do this.
Yeah, exactly. What's it like training up there with Uriah Faber? Obviously, a guy that's been around forever, a legend of the game, and just an awesome human being. But talk to me about the impact that Team Alpha Male, all the coaches, and Uriah Faber have had on your career.
Yeah, it's been such a good vibe, man. I mean, that's part of it. It's a place where you can train all day long if you wanted to. You can do privates, you can do classes, tons of positive energy, which I love. We're all there to help each other. Faber has, Faber, he's Mr. Positive over there. He's going to do whatever he can to help you. He's always willing to help you. And like right away, I fell in love with him. Again, this is where I need to be. And I feel like with Team Alpha Male, unlike some of the other teams, is they don't try to change what your style is. They just try to add to your style. A lot of other gyms, they change your style to their style, which isn't always the greatest thing. Like I'm a grappler, I'm a jiu-jitsu guy, I brawl a little bit, but I work on my striking and stuff like that. But they didn't say, okay, you should be a striker now. It's like, no, we're adding to your game.
Is Faber still on the mats?
Oh yeah, he's doing jiu-jitsu and stuff. He's doing jiu-jitsu competition now. Yeah.
Son of a bitch, I'm jealous. Yeah, my neck's destroyed. I can't do jack shit at the moment. I'm gonna get another neck surgery. Yeah. Obviously, you're a featherweight. Just quickly, give me a prediction for this weekend. How do you expect this one to go down?
I think it's gonna be a great fight, a fun fight to watch. I think I'm gonna catch him late in the round, maybe a rear naked choke, a submission when he starts wearing down.
Nice. Featherweight title on the line next weekend to Poirier, Max Holloway. What do you think about that, Darren? Who do you think wins?
I like Max. Obviously, Max is a fan favorite. I'm a big fan of Max. I've had conversations with Max, so I'm always pulling for Max. But man, Poirier looks so good lately, and
I know
it's going to be a true test. Max is going to have to hold up, and he's going to have to keep him at distance.
Two of the best featherweights we've ever seen, man. It's going to be phenomenal.
Yeah, I'm pulling for Max. I'm sticking with Max, but I wouldn't be surprised either way.
Now, when I said to Mike Harrington, that's our producer, jump on, Mike. When I said to Harrington, I said, we're going to get Darren Elkins on. He's like, oh my God, he's one of my favorite fighters. And I'm not exaggerating. I'm not being silly. He was like, shit, that would be incredible. Harrington, have you got any questions for Darren the Damage Elkins?
Well, no, I just wanted to, I was let you know, you gained a fan for life in that Mirsad Bektic fight, right? Like talk about, you getting absolutely, he's given you everything he's got over the course of 12 minutes. The guy's being talked about as like it's only a matter of time before this guy fights for a featherweight title. And then boom, one Darren Elkins head kick and nobody's talking about his title hopes anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I endured a lot. I learned a lot about myself in that fight. I think Mirsad did too, but I'm always in it until I'm not in it. My cardio, my toughness. If you fade a little bit, I can keep coming.
Do you credit wrestling with the toughness, the mental toughness, the unbreakable will?
Yeah, definitely wrestling has taught me how to hone it, right? I mean, you go through those crazy practices, the hard endurance training, and I feel like I'm definitely going to credit it, but I think a lot of it has to do with my life. Like I was telling you, how I'm the underdog and that little voice in my head telling me, do more, you can do more, don't stop.
I was always the underdog, as we said. That fueled me. It also gave me a chip on my shoulder. It pissed me off, but if you harness that and you use it the right way, that could be the best motivation ever.
I agree. Same. I do the same. I agree with you, Mike.
So what does Darren Elkins do when he's not kicking ass in the octagon? What do you get up to?
Well, I'm doing a lot right now with my son. He's doing the whole. He just about a year and a half ago decided now he wants to do MMA and he wants to do jiu-jitsu and he wants to wrestle, and so I'm spending a lot of time with him, and he's doing like cross country, and my daughter's doing cross country. So I'm mostly with my family when I'm not training, when I'm not doing this type of stuff. I'm with my family, with my wife. We're doing a lot of family stuff, and for the whole. My son, he's 14 now. It's been a cool journey. We can talk jiu-jitsu on the way there, and I've been saying for a long time that once I'm done, I wanted to step away from MMA. Like I've been doing it for 35 years. I don't think I wanted to be around MMA anymore unless my kids got into MMA. Well, he's in MMA, so it looks like I'll be sticking around, probably coaching.
There you go. Never goes away. Harrington, you got a final question for Darren?
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm just looking through your record here. I mean, there's a who's who of guys. You got, Jeremy Stevens, Alexander Volkanovski, Chad Mendez, Charles Oliveira, Cub Swanson. We're talking about the elite to ever do it, at 145. Is there one fight that stands out to you where it's like, oh yeah, that was a war I still look back on and it gives me chills?
That was a lot. Great question, by the way, Harrington.
That is a good question. They're all freaking crazy fight. They all blend together, and I was on that 6-fight winning streak, and I was kind of making my way towards the top, and Volkanovski kind of put it on me, hit me with some good shots, rocked me really bad in the first. So, I mean, that one was a brutal one. I remember I really haven't had many, knock on wood, I can say I haven't had a ton of concussions in my life. I haven't had too many fights where I'm like, man, my head really hurts. I've been where I've been rocked and dropped and stuff, but I haven't been where my head's been like, man, it's throbbing. But in that fight, my head hurt afterwards for a while.
Did you know?
Yeah. Go on.
Did you know coming out of that fight, oh, this guy is the next champion at 145?
I knew he could be. I mean, like I said, I was on top. I was at the top of my game then. I thought I was gonna make my way. I thought I was gonna walk through him, and he put it on me some. So I knew he had definitely a good chance.
Are you married, Darren?
Yeah, I've been married.
Wife. Yeah.
Married.
So talk to me about this, because you are the damage. It is the perfect nickname. You do show so much heart every single bloody time. And you are a bloody mess at the end of most of your fights. And that's why people love you. But what about your wife? She must be like, oh my God, Darren, please, for the love of God, how long are you going to do this for? Because, women, they don't want to see you get hurt. They're always very nervous for you, obviously, because they care about you. What does your wife say every time you go in, into a fight?
So it's funny because, like I said, I've been with my wife since high school. She's been around since the wrestling days, so she knows how I am. She knows how I've always been. When we were younger, she loved it. She went to all the fights, she watched all the fights. Like early in my UFC career, she traveled the world with me. But now that I'm older and the kids are older, now she can't even watch. She close her eyes. She hides. Can't watch the fights anymore. And She doesn't. She encouraged me if I want to keep doing it, but she won't watch anymore. It's hard for her to even come to some of these events, which I understand. I mean, it's a tough sport. Like you said, I'm different than most, but she knows how I am. This is really what makes me happy. This is really what makes me wake up every day excited, still doing what I want to do.
Well, that sounds like you got a beautiful woman there, because that's how they're supposed to. That shows that they care. There's some wives out there that don't really give a shit. I've seen it. I'm not going to mention names. And I've seen fighters get knocked out and the wives not caring, taking selfies and stuff and posing. And I was just absolutely disgusted. That's what a woman that cares about you is supposed to think like. So you got a good one there. Darren, all the best this weekend, my man. All the best. I'm a big fan. I love watching you compete, and I look forward to this weekend.
Appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
My man, take care. All the best.
Take care.
I mean, the damage. He is a nice guy. He's a psycho inside the octagon in a good way.
Yeah, I didn't get to ask it, but there was the fan question. Does he think he's bled the most of anyone in the UFC? And I think the answer just has to be yes, right? Like nobody loses more pints of blood. He said he didn't take a lot of head damage, and it's like, okay, but you made up for it in pints of blood lost in the cage.
100%. Yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to think now, who were the biggest bleeders in MMA? I mean, that is an ominous title to have. I bled the most in that octagon. I bleed for this, okay? Literally. Sometimes, when the UFC finishes, you go in the canvas, and now at the Apex, like all the fans go in there and get pictures and yada, yada, yada. I used to do like little post instant reaction videos in the octagon. You can't do that anymore. And you forget, you see all the blood on a bloody night, the amount of blood just all over the canvas. But who springs to mind as some of the bloodiest?
I mean, it's to me, it's either Darren or Nate, just because Nate always gets busted. Darren Elkins or Nate Diaz. Because he has all the scar tissue. He always gets opened up.
Tony Ferguson, there's been a few bloody ones there.
Oh, yeah.
I've had a few bloody ones. I was always a bloody mess when I came out of there. Jesus Christ. Anyway, fair play to Darren Elkins. Good luck this weekend. All right, well, speaking of Darren Elkins and talking about this weekend, Anthony Hernandez, Fluffy goes up against Michel Pereira. I did the contender last week. I was at the PI having a little workout, and I saw Michel Pereira walk past. He is an absolute freak of a specimen. I am telling you, right? He had his top off. He was dripping in sweat. I mean, he's absolutely ripped to God knows what. And he's big. He is a big guy. Yeah, it's 185. He used to fight at welterweight, I think, for a little bit. He's done the right thing coming up because he looks absolutely gigantic going up against Anthony Hernandez. Anthony Hernandez, you got to love this guy. Never the fastest. Never the strongest, never the quickest, never any of that stuff, the most explosive. But oh my God, underestimate him at your will. Roman Kopylov, Edmund Shabazian, Marc-Andre Barriot, Josh Friend, Rodolfo Vieira. I mean, that is
submitted him.
Win streak.
Submitted him.
One of the best jiu-jitsu guys to ever come over to the UFC in like modern times, in the modern era, shall we say. Submitted it. Unbelievable. How do you see this fight going down?
Yeah, this is absolutely excellent matchmaking. And I think it's going to be, I think it's going to be a very fun fight. My issue with Pereira, same as everybody, it's been, the conditioning, right? Like he can do capoeira. He can dance in the cage and throw these insane kicks from out of nowhere. But does he have the gas to go 25 minutes with somebody like Anthony Hernandez, who I know is going to be there for all 25 minutes? You let him stay in that fight, he will be in your face in the 23rd minute trying to find a finish.
Pereira's a freak. And I mean, like, freakily, athletically. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he stands there and does backflips mid-fight.
Oh, yeah.
While someone's led on their back to try and pass their guard. He turns around and does a goddamn backflip. And then sometimes he starts getting tired. You know what I mean? And that's what I've said a few times on the commentary. He does the capoeira. He does the walkouts. He does the backflips, uses all of his goddamn energy, and then gets tired. And to your point, with this being 5 rounds, and with Anthony Hernandez being just one of the toughest guys, an unbreakable will, really good defense, good chin, massive win streak as well. I lean towards Hernandez. I just think over 5 rounds he's going to wear him down. Problem is, Pereira's so explosive. He is so powerful. I mean, his last 2 wins, I think they were in the first round. Ihor Pereira got a guillotine choke, knocked out. Michel Alashashuk. That was a rear naked choke as well. Knocked out Andre Petrosky. That's the one I was thinking about. Just drilled him with a massive shot. The man he's technical. He's good. He's big. He's gigantic. He's dangerous. But he's not economical with his energy, to coin a phrase from Conor McGregor when he lost to Nate Diaz. And Anthony Hernandez just doesn't go away. So if you ask me who wins, I think we see a submission. Round 4, round 5 for the fluffy one.
I love it. That's an incredible call, and that's something that will certainly pay out quite well. Why
is he the underdog?
He is a slight underdog, I believe, and then also picking submission in the later rounds is always like lottery number level odds. So I think I might just throw a cheeky one on there, Mr. Bisping.
Well, what about you? What's your pick?
So I listen, I think Pereira is the kind of guy who he does damage with his hands, but then he tends to go to the grappling, right? Like if you trying to remember, I know the Olajaychik fight you're talking about, the Pereira fight, Zalim Imadeev, that was another one where he goes for the grappling, and I think he's gonna make a mistake. Instincts are gonna take over. And he's going to, for whatever reason, try to grapple with Fluffy. And I just think anytime I've seen anyone try to do that, from the most elite level jiu-jitsu guys to literally anyone who locks it up with him in the UFC, Hernandez tends to get a finish once it goes into grappling. So I think it's going to be more of a mental lapse where instinct takes over. He's dominating with the striking, but it gets into a grappling affair and Hernandez gets a reversal in the finish.
Yeah. So we're kind of aligned there. Also, Rob Font's on this weekend against Kyler Phillips. That should be a good one. We've got Darren the Damage taking on Daniel Pineda, Brad Katona versus Jean Matsumoto. That's a good one. Jean Matsumoto, he was on the Contender Series. I'm telling you, he is ridiculously talented. He is so good. So keep an eye on that one. Brad Katona, we know he's been around for a little bit, was on The Ultimate Fighter again recently. Very technical, another SBG product. But John Matsumoto, I think he's got a very, very big future. Anyway, all the best to everyone competing this weekend. If you got a question, send it in, bympod@gmail.com. Do me a favor if you're watching this. It takes no effort to just click subscribe. It takes no effort to just click like. So what are you doing? Help a brother out. Click the link, click the like, and get your shit together. And send the question in to bympod@gmail.com. Brian.
I'm impressed.
Do we have any questions?
I'm impressed with the hot potatoes that people sent in today. I think we're gonna skip putting them on air.
The hot potatoes?
Yes.
All right, I gotta see it. I gotta see it, Brian.
I'll show you after. You're gonna get in trouble.
You're saying it's not fit for air?
Yes, sir.
In what kind of way?
they're going to ask for opinions of yours that may or may not get you into a lot of trouble.
Oh, okay. I don't mind giving opinions. I'm very opinionated, but I think I know what you're talking about there, Brian. So we will swerve that one. Big thanks to Eddie Hall. Big thanks to Darren Elkins. Big thanks to Mike Harrington as well. No abuse today for you.
Dude, big thanks to you for that, Mr. Bisping.
Shut up, Harrington.
Yeah. A big thanks to Brian McKay, of course. Thanks, guys. Appreciate the support on the show. We'll be back on Monday. Take care.